Willie D Live.
What's up, family? According to the National Center for Education Statistics, about 1 in 5 students, that's ages 12 to 18, report being bullied each year. That's about 3.2 million children around the country bullied. So bullying is a big deal, so much so that one father in Houston decided to take matters into his own hands. There he is right there. That is Aubrey Fontenot. Aubrey Fontenot was so tired of his son being bullied, he decided to do something about it. His son, Jordan, kept coming home complaining about being bullied by this guy who was much bigger than him. Jordan finally came home one day and said, "Dad," he took my phone. At that point, Aubrey said, "Okay, that's enough of this," because Aubrey had already tried going to the teacher to talk. He went to the administration to talk, but nothing got done. So when his son Jordan came home and said, "Dad, he took my phone," Aubrey was like, "That's it." Put his foot down, went to school, and waited on Tamarion to show up. Tamarion come out, and Aubrey approached him like, "Hey, what's up with you messing with my son? Picking on my son, bullying my son." Come to find out that Tamarion himself was being bullied. Even though he was bigger than the other kids, he was being bullied for a different reason. He was being bullied because his family had lost their home, and he had trouble at home, and he was wearing the same clothes to school several days in a row. After hearing Tamarion's story, Aubrey's anger turned to empathy. He pulled Tamarion and Jordan to the side and made them patch it up. He was like, "Look, this is it. This is over. Y'all gonna be cool from here on out." The next thing he did, he takes it a step further, fam, and this is where the story gets extremely interesting. Aubrey starts a GoFundMe for Tamarion and his family. The GoFundMe raises over $30,000. The goal was initially $7,000 to get Tamarion and his family into a new house. The GoFundMe raises over $30,000, and Tamarion and Jordan become good friends. And this whole experience actually improves both of their lives to where both kids starts to excel in school and in their social circles. They become better people. And as far as I know, they're still friends. I ain't got no problem with that. Aubrey, you cold boy, man. You cold-blooded, man. You cold-blooded. Because my initial instinct, especially seeing that boy towering over my son, my initial instinct would be to make contact. But, I'm glad you took the high road. I'm glad you saw it that way, because this is a wonderful story. This is a wonderful story. And it just goes to show you, fam, that everything ain't always what it seems. If you just look on the surface, you see your child being bullied by a much bigger kid, and all you can think of is getting some get back, getting some revenge, right? But just to have the presence of mind to ask this kid, "Well, what's going on with you? What's happening?" And taking that in, he could have been dismissive and like, "Well, I got my own problems, so I ain't got time to deal with that. You just keep your hands off my son." He said, "No, I'm gonna help this kid." See, and this is what I talk about often, how we need to help youngsters, even if they're not model kids. See, oftentimes we want to help the model kid. We want to help the kid that don't cause no problems. We want the kid to hang out with us who Everybody else wants to hang out with them. The kid that already gets 1,000 invitations, right? That kid who gets 1,000 invitations in most cases, who have a tribe, that kid gonna be all right. It's the one who don't get invited to the pool party, to the birthday party, to the game. Do you know what giving that kid a ticket to the game would do to his confidence? To his spirit? Wow, they invited me out of all people. They could have invited anybody. They invited me. I'm a bad actor. Nobody invites me to nothing. Oftentimes, all these youngsters need is just one person who will show some genuine interest in them, and it could turn their life around. It happened to me. For me, it was my homeroom teacher, high school. Ooh, man, that woman, Emmett Oliver. Man, that woman was heaven sent, because I used to cut up all the time, believe it or not. I used to cut up. So instead of her sending me to the principal's office, which the other teachers would do, she decided, you know what, I'm going to bring you to the front of the class. So she made me sit in the front of the class. And she made me, after she put me in the front of the class, I used to always be in the back of the class. So, I can get away with cutting up, right? She put me in the front of the class so she could keep an eye on me. And then she would make me write the daily objective on the board. I always thought that was for smart kids, So once I started writing the daily object, it gave me such a sense of pride. It's hard to describe. That type of pride and that type of empowerment where you feel you can do anything. That's how I felt. And because she did that, I wanted to do better in her classroom. And I also wanted to protect her. She started assigning me to keep names of anybody that was disruptive once she left the classroom, if she had to run an errand or whatever inside of the classroom, inside of the school. She would step out the class periodically. She would step out of the classroom periodically, and she'd tell me to take names. Now, I got you, you're trying to say, you got to call me a snitch, you snitching. I never had to snitch because nobody wanted to get on my bad side. Plus, I pretty much was the baddest kid in the classroom. So, her thing was like, let me get him in control. If I can control him, if I can get him on my side, on my team, I can get the rest of the kids in order. I can use him to help keep them in order. And it worked. I didn't even know what she had done to me until I was out of school. I looked back on the situation. I was like, oh, that's what she was doing. And it worked. Oftentimes, it's easy for us to just act out just like kids do at times. When we're angry about something, somebody do this, we react like this. They do this, it's easier to react with anger than it is compassion. You know what I mean? It's very easy. Aubrey acted with compassion. Now, this story is from 2018, but it still holds true to this day. It's a cautionary tale that we have to look out for each other. See, I can guarantee you, most people, even adults, stayed away from Tamarion. They stayed away from him. Instead of going to him, seeing what was going on with him, checking on him, make sure he was all right, they just, bad kid, punish him. That's the way they think. Because, especially little black boys, they don't care what's going on with them. In their mind, if he does something wrong, lock him up, throw away the keys, just like the rest of them. Their counterparts, well, boys will be boys. That's the type of mentality they have. Boys will be boys. We're not going to ruin their life. We're just going to, give them a stern warning, but we're not going to ruin their life. We're not going to send them off to prison for the first time the first time that they do something stupid, right? So salute to Aubrey, man. This dude was heaven sent. And I would like to know what's going on with the boys. Now it's been what is that, 8 years? So I'd like to know, I'd like to get an update on the boys. So anybody who knows them, sees the story, reach out to me, and I'd like to bring them on the show. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.